And then today's conversation, we're going to focus on how AI is impacting the information economy, the changing business landscape, and then also how it's delivering returns. So to get that conversation started, please welcome our first guest, Takeda President and CEO, Christophe Weber. Hi, thank you so much for being here.
Morning, everyone.
Thank you for getting this conversation started. I want to talk about you first and foremost, because you've been at the company now for about 10 years. And throughout your tenure, you came in with a very aggressive strategy around R&D and globalization, and now throw AI into the mix here. As your tenure is starting to come to an end, what are you most proud of? What do you think has been the biggest thing you've accomplished at Takeda?
Thank you. Well, I'm very proud of the transformation that we were able to accomplish. We are much more global now, so we can really be present and bring our medicines across the world. That wasn't the case before. And we focused on innovative medicines. Our mission is to discover and deliver life-transforming medicines for patients. And that was not the case 10 years ago. We were in the branded generic business, we were in the OTC business, so we were able to really focus on that. And we are starting to really see the benefit of our R&D transformation, so very exciting time.
Most companies talk about AI and the technology shift. You've described Takeda as becoming a tech biopharmaceutical company. What does that actually mean day to day for scientists, manufacturers, et cetera?
Yeah, it's a big transformation that we started, in fact, 6 years ago. So AI came later, but 6 years ago we realized that we need to be a data-driven, a tech-driven company. So we moved all the data to the cloud, for example, with a good architecture, and now we are able to really use that. So it is completely transforming the entire company. If I start in research, we can design new molecule much faster. We can predict the effect of these molecules before doing animal testing or clinical testing. On the development side, for example, we use big data and AI to optimize our protocol, so that we can predict how many patients we'll be able to recruit and how quickly. And that's something we couldn't do before. So we were just designing trials and then let's see how we can recruit. So you can see the impact and the acceleration of clinical development. One of the biggest impact of AI is in manufacturing. It's never AI alone. It's always in combination with other technology. So with one of the big technology advancement has been digital camera that record what obviously they are observing, and then you use AI on that. So, for example, we can do predictive maintenance in our manufacturing operation. Another example I can share with you is that to release our batch. You know, when you manufacture medicines, you manufacture batches, and then you have the quality process to make sure that the batch is meeting our quality standards. We used to take 90 days on average to do that batch release process with our portfolio of product. Now we have a project which will be operational this year, using data and AI, and it will take 1 day. Wow. From 90 days to 1 day. Wow. To release a batch. So imagine, in terms of supply chain flexibility, working capital, the impact is very significant. And I could carry on with so many examples.
Well, I mean, you mentioned quality, you mentioned data. I mean, there's also an element of trust and safety and security when you're incorporating AI. You're such a highly regulated industry. Where does trust come into play here?
Well, it's very important that you are using machine learning algorithms that do not hallucinate and are very robust and consistent in our operations. So there are different types of AI. There are different algorithms. And of course, we cannot, in our field, in many areas, you need to make sure that your output is robust and predictable. And that can be done with depending on which machine learning algorithm you are using. So Sometimes we use LLM, sometimes we use machine learning. You need to adapt the technology to what you want to do.
Right. You've said that AI could drive as much as 30%, as much of a 30% efficiency gain, and obviously 90 days to 1 day is a huge.
More than 30%.
Is more than 30%.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, what's the hardest part of actually realizing that? Is it the technology itself, or is it changing how people work?
It's a transformation. So every single colleague in Takeda knows that they will need to learn how to use this new technology and AI. So it's a collective project. And my job is to get everyone excited about it and not scared by it. And not everyone will design algorithm or code, but everyone will use it. And it's to learn the potential on how to use it. And I think we are investing a lot in training and making sure that everybody is excited about it.
Are they excited? What's the appetite?
Yeah, they are excited. If you look at, for example, how many colleagues have done a training, it has been ramping up so fast. So our culture is to excite more than make it compulsory. It's very important. So we do a lot of education and we developed a lot of training. We invest a lot on that.
Talk to me too about transparency, because obviously healthcare, pharmaceuticals, it's so personal. How do you think about transparency as it relates to your various audiences, whether it's patients, manufacturers, et cetera?
It's very critical because, for example, we use more and more patient data to optimize our processes. So when I talked about protocol optimization, well, we are testing our protocol, clinical trial protocol, against large patient data. And so that's how we can optimize it. And also identify potentially where the patients are. But that has to be done in transparency with the patient because the data is coming from somewhere. So that's an example where it's very important that people know how the data is used, how it is anonymized. But still, when it's anonymized, people deserve to know, for example, how their patient will be used by the healthcare ecosystem. It's not only pharma, it's hospitals, healthcare providers. And so transparency about how the data is used, who is using it, who is making money with it is very important. And different countries are taking different direction as well. So that's one type of transparency. The other type of transparency is how we reach decision using AI. And how a model has been trained, for example, and what are the potential downside risks as well. So it's very important. In healthcare, transparency is absolutely key because people deserve to know, what we do and what are the outcomes, but also the risk of any medicines or vaccines or technology.
One of the things that's obviously top of mind here in Davos is diplomacy, and you were honored last year for strengthening diplomatic, economic, and scientific relations between Belgium and Japan. So I'd love to hear more about your thoughts on the role that business plays in diplomacy.
Well, I think healthcare is it's often considered now by countries as a national security matter. So no country wants to depend on another one when it comes to healthcare, right, and medicine. So I think it's very important that we understand that, whether it is where we manufacture our medicines and the concept of one manufacturing site for the world, which was a historical concept in the pharmaceutical industry, does not work well anymore. So you need to understand that and adapt to that. On the other hand, what is interesting in our industry is that one life-saving medicines discovered in one country is most likely useful everywhere in the world. So segmentation of the world, if you apply that to medicines, that means that some part of the world will not have access to life-saving medicines discovered in China or in the US and vice versa. That's not very attractive. So we need to also explain that to ensure that there is access to life-saving medicines wherever they are discovered. And I think this is something is so important for the world, for the patients, for our business too. But that's very, very critical here.
We started the conversation talking about your view of your tenure. I'm curious what you think your successor will say was the biggest thing you accomplished, or the thing that you did that really set the company up for success.
Well, so my successor has been identified. She's already in the company, working on the transition. Look, the company has been totally transformed, so the starting point is just different. Yeah. Just to give you an example, more than 50% of our revenue comes from the US. It used to be like less than 20%.
And that's your largest market?
Yeah, by far. Yeah. When I started, we used to have about 2,000 colleagues in the US. We have now 23,000. So starting point is very, very different. Our portfolio of product, our pipeline is very different as well. So you take it from there, and then you carry on and you develop the company further. Of course, we are at the beginning of the AI impact. It's super exciting, but it will carry on for the years to come. Yeah.
You helped globalize this company. You also are a global citizen yourself. So I want to end on one fun thing. You've lived in 9 countries. Of all of the countries that you lived in, which one has the best food?
Well, and my wife is here. We live together in these countries, different stage of your life, so we enjoy very much. I think that's if you want to enjoy this type of life where you move on, you need to really get the best of what every country has to offer. And if you start comparing, it's never good. You say, you move to another country, enjoy what the country offer. Don't compare with the previous one, otherwise it's very complex. So we have been living in, now we live between Tokyo and Boston, but we have been living in Tokyo for a long time. Japan is a very different culture. We very much enjoy it. Before that, we were in Brussels, very different culture. Before that, we were in Singapore, also very different culture. So I think that's the key, is to be very curious and really adapt to the country and really have a positive mindset where you really enjoy what the country can offer.
That's a very diplomatic answer.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.